The following 4 Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Kicking back on this summer breeze. Welcome to Double K's Classroom. Class is officially in session. Good evening, y'all, and welcome to this week's edition of Double K's Classroom, your bi-weekly favorite sports podcast. I am Double K, and I am here to talk to you a little bit right now about the Golden State Warriors. That's right, you heard me right. Golden State Warriors, man. I tell you, people can call me a homer, people can call me whatever they want, but I myself have been a fan of the Golden State Warriors since the mid-'80s. The Warriors are a team that I have been proud to call the team I care about for years, despite multiple losing seasons, multiple seasons of 20 wins, 25 wins, and not necessarily 50 and 60 wins. We did have a run in the 80s and 90s with TMC and all them guys and Don Nelson, where they were a pretty good team. But overall, the Warriors have pretty much been the Cleveland Browns, damn near, of the NBA for the past few years. This year, the Warriors the past few years, the Warriors have turned that around. After building through the draft and drafting greats like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Harrison Barnes, who's actually no longer with the team. They built it up till last year when Kevin Durant, the all-star of all-stars, short of LeBron James, came to play for the Warriors and won a championship in the Bay Area. And as they look to defend that title this year, I believe they sit at like 36-7 or something like that. After their loss to the Rockets 37-10. Sorry, after their loss to the Rockets the other night. The Rockets are, in my personal opinion, not to jump subjects, but the biggest threat to the Warriors in the West is the Houston Rockets. The Rockets beat the Warriors for the second time in 3 games this past season, closing out their season series, and it doesn't scare me. I do not believe that Houston can win a 7-game series against the Warriors, because I believe when the Warriors get aggressive, not even Houston can stop them. But I also believe that Houston is a threat of a team that can surprise the Warriors. If the Warriors, as this article even says, look past the Houston Rockets, because despite the fact that they do have the ability and the talent to be able to beat the Houston Rockets with ease, the Warriors have to show the motivation to want to beat the Houston Rockets with ease. I believe they will bounce back. As the recording of this episode, they just lost to Houston last night, and their upcoming game is on Tuesday, the 23rd at home against the New York Knicks. So I expect the Warriors to perform well in that game. I expect the Warriors to get the win. This team has proven one thing to me this season, and that is that it is a capable team. They've gone through a lot of injuries this season and have survived and come out with, like I said, a 37-10 record through 47 games. So that turns me to the East, because the Warriors have mollywopped. They have beaten the Cleveland Cavaliers twice. The Oklahoma City Thunder mollywopped the Cleveland Cavaliers on Saturday, but the Warriors have beaten them. They beat them on Martin Luther King Day. They beat them on Christmas Day for the season sweep of the Cavs, and the Warriors. Well, last time the Warriors swept the Cavs in the season sweep, the Cavs won the title, but we're hoping to change those fortunes this year with our killer Kevin Durant, a guy who basically should be up for Defensive Player of the Year, but we shall see. But it makes me ask myself, if not Cleveland, then who can challenge the Warriors in the East? If the Warriors make it through the Rockets and get their shit together when it comes to the Rockets and get through the Rockets, who in the East is truly a threat? And as I look, Boston is about the only team that I can genuinely say is a true threat to the Warriors out of the East outside of Cleveland. And that's primarily because of the type of defense that they play, which is very stout defense. And they look to they look to be able to shut you down, and that's without Gordon Hayward. That's what makes it scary. Like, they didn't know that these guys like Tatum were going to be able to step up and play the way that they have, and so like there's no way for them to have known that. So the fact that it's happening is just like wow. Like can you truly tell me that the Boston Celtics couldn't knock off the Cleveland Cavaliers as currently constructed? One team's definitely heading in an up direction. One team's definitely heading in a down direction. Some of the top MVP candidates this season right now at the All-Star break, pretty much where All-Star teams have been decided. Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant, or not Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry and LeBron James were voted team captains. LeBron gets the first pick, and I guess they are doing kind of like the NFL thing. I thought I heard that somewhere where they're doing the NFL thing where they're going to have the two captains pick the teams, and it's not necessarily going to be East versus West. But I want to see what teams LeBron and Curry put together. But the current top MVP candidates at the All-Star game are LeBron, KD, Kyrie Irving, and I think the front runner at this moment is LeBron, because he's about the only good thing coming out of the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. I'm not going to lie. It was one of those things where I expected the LeBron James to do this, and then I told myself if he does do this, I think he definitely deserves the MVP, because nobody has done it like him for as long as him, not even Jordan, if you look at it statistically. Even though I think this is basically the run Jordan would have had he not retired. But we can always have the Jordan versus LeBron debate later on, because I am definitely a Jordan over LeBron guy. Sorry, Nick Young. I'm not putting LeBron's dick in my mouth and enjoying that like you do. Or Nick Wright, sorry, from Fox Sports. Anyway, biggest disappointment of the first half. My biggest disappointment really has been the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because if anything, the Cavaliers should have been dominating their Eastern Conference opponents. They should be sitting on top of the division or top of the conference in the Eastern Conference, and I believe they're sitting in third or fourth. So I can't, with good conscience, not call the Cleveland Cavaliers my personal biggest disappointment this season. Because this is a team that's supposed to be challenging the Warriors, my Warriors, the team that I love, that's supposed to be challenging them and pushing them to the limits and forcing them to get better and do better things. This is supposed to be the team that's supposed to be pushing them, and I'm just not seeing that. Like, this team has nothing for them at this point. The Warriors are too deep. They've proven by losing at least one of their starters and their all-stars at least once at some point during the first half of the season, and continuing to win and finish the first half with just about a 47-48 or 37-38 win, possibly 40 win mark by the time they reach the All-Star break. That's just unheard of. I've had runs like that. I'll be honest with you. I've had runs like that on my NBA 2K17 or 18 simulating seasons where the Warriors went out and dominated, and it wasn't with getting KD. Just Steph developed, and so did Clay, and good things happened. But like, seeing this in real life is just wow. It's just wow. So I'm gonna leave that on that and leave that there. We're gonna go ahead and dive into the first commercial break and the lesson of the day, where I give my thoughts on the San Francisco 49ers for next year. You're listening to Double K's Classroom right here on the 4Aces Network, Spreaker.com, 4Aces Presents. We are also on iHeartRadio, Revolving Door episodes. Check us out. Peace.
Hey, Saturday night, live at 7 p.m. Pacific. Check out the Mr. Deacon Experience, only on Spreaker.com, 4Aces Presents Radio.
Tune in, folks. It's now time for Double K's Lesson of the Day.
All right. So, as we take a look at the football season moving forward, we go into the Super Bowl in 2 weeks, right before the next episode of Double K's Classroom, in which I will reveal my Super Bowl picks. So do not expect any predictions in the second half of the show, but we will be talking about the two combatants and how they got in their path to the Super Bowl this week in the second half of the show. But I'm going to focus on my Bay Area team, my team, the team I've loved since I was a kid, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. They are on their way back, and it may still be another year or two before they finally get there, but they're definitely on their way back to becoming a prominent and possibly dominant team. Their defense is looking good. The offense has been stabilized at the quarterback position by one Mr. Jimmy Garoppolo, the pretty boy, Mr. GQ, for the Bay Area, and not to say that I wouldn't rather see Colin Kaepernick continue to be at the helm, even though there are some of you who may boo that statement. I would rather see Colin Kaepernick at the helm. Kyle Shanahan didn't agree, and I'm trying to develop a new philosophy when it comes to the 49ers, that in Kyle and John I trust. And that's what I'm bringing to you here. And Kyle and John I trust. I believe in their vision of what they want to do. John Lynch is building an amazing offense for Robert Saleh to take over. Unfortunately, he had Ken Norton Jr. back as his linebackers coach, but we lost him to Seattle the very next day. So, but next year they're still looking good. Robert Saleh coming back. Kyle Shanahan calling the offensive plays. They got Jimmy G, who looked comfortable in that offense, and they have a guy. They have in areas of need that are glaring and that are obvious as to complete the pieces necessary to make for a good offensive weapon as well as defense. Now, on the defensive side, they already have a pretty scary front seven with Armstead and Buckner, but they still need a developed pass rusher, somebody that can consistently get to the pass rusher. And with $115 million in cap room, I believe that they can go ahead and put that money into it. I say it's actually probably more like $90 million in cap room, because most likely Jimmy G is going to command about 20 to 25 a year for his long-term contract. So, they'll have about $90 million that they can sink into getting a long-term pass rusher to join the front seven. That's already 3 first-round picks and Earl Mitchell, and they still have. Then they went out and got Elvis Dumervil, who was a contributor late in the season. They still have Reuben Foster coming back. They're talking about drafting a linebacker to join, maybe even Raekwon Smith to add to Reuben Foster. Get another Navarro